Hello, my name is Sarah Nichols, and today I will be talking about ease of access on Windows 10 and accessibility settings on a MacBook Pro. First, I'd like to point out the low vision workspace that I'm using. This has a large monitor, a 24-inch monitor on an extendable arm that I can pull nice and close to my face for that relative distance magnification. I also have a high contrast keyboard with yellow keys with a black background. This is a Zoom Text keyboard. I have an external mouse, and these are all hooked up to my laptop. So first I'd like to talk about how to get to ease of access. The easiest way to do that is to press the Windows key, which is gonna bring up a search box. And then you can type in ease of access and it will bring up this settings menu. I'll also point out that right now I have Fusion turned on because this is what I personally use for my accessibility needs, but there's other built-in options that can work and make Windows easier to see. So I will zoom in so that I can talk about some of these features. First, there's a way to make all text larger. I don't usually recommend this because if you make all the text larger, you can't see the full word that's in a menu. Usually you can make it a little bit bigger and you can see it in the menu, but usually magnification works better than making all of the text larger. But this is an option. Other displays, so you can pull in and add other displays. So brightness is important for lots of people. If people have light sensitivity, it helps for the computer to be more dim. And there's other ways that you can manipulate that as well. And other people like it super bright, and that works better for their vision. So that's again under ease of access and under display. Next, we can talk about the mouse pointer. I have mine set to a pretty large size and the pointer is yellow. You can make this even larger by toggling this, it's not a toggle switch, it's a slider, all the way up or down based on your needs, and there's different colors based on who, client preference on what they'd like to see there. Let me see here. The feature I'm also using is cursor hover. I'm hovering over things and it's reading them aloud to me, that I'm using as my accessibility here.
Select text cursor.
Again, here's a text cursor size. I have mine set to purple and almost as large as it goes. And this helps a lot when you're working in a document to find where you are in that document. Get that bigger picture of what's going on. And there's multiple colors you can pick. And you can change the appearance of this as well. You can make it wider and more narrow. I find if you make it wider, it looks like it's kind of highlighting the word actually. So it usually looks a little more normal if it's smaller. But again, that's client preference. That's just the way that I have it set here. Now Windows Magnifier is a built-in accessibility feature on all Windows 10 computers, and so you don't have to pay for it. It is free. You can just toggle it on and off, and you use the Windows key with the plus and minus key in order to zoom in and zoom out. And you can do this with a docked magnifier where it only magnifies the top third of the screen or the bottom third of the screen or the full screen like what I'm using currently.
Color filter.
Different color filters. These are again based on client preference. The color filter I am currently using is inverted colors. Come on, bro. Let me turn it off. Come on, buddy. There we go. So you can invert the colors so that it's white text on a black background versus black text on a white background. This helps if the client has light sensitivity, and it helps decrease ocular fatigue as well. There's lots of different color filters based on if somebody has a specific color deficiency in their vision, and those can be manipulated on this same screen here based on what the client can and can't see. And there's also high contrast settings. This increases the amount of contrast for things. For me, I actually flinched back when that just hit my eyes because that was so bright after looking at a dark screen. So you can see how these things can make a really dramatic impact on the way that the client is able to access their assistive technology on the Windows 10 computer. Now I'm going to switch computers and go talk about the MacBook Pro. So bear with me as I do that at my workstation here, where I can use multiple computers at the same time.
Context menu. Use type green.
So I don't use an external keyboard for my my MacBook. I actually use it as a portable computer more often than not. So I don't have an external keyboard for this one. I also don't have an external mouse, and that works for me. And I have VoiceOver enabled on my MacBook, which is a built-in screen reader, and I have Zoom enabled as well. So we're going to begin by how to get to these accessibility features. And first you'll do the spotlight search. This is the easiest way to get to it. You can just type in accessibility settings and it will pop straight up to the system preferences box. There's another more like long cut way, I'll call it, where you can navigate to the dock using the VO keys and D, and then pressing VO and using the arrow key over to system preferences. But the easier way is just to do the spotlight search, which is Command Spacebar on a MacBook Pro. Here you will find all different kinds of settings. The one I have pulled up first is to talk about the display. And you can invert colors completely here. I do not have all of my colors inverted. I actually found a way in order to invert colors based on the program I'm running, so that when I go over to Google Chrome and I want to look at cute dogs, I don't have the colors inverted on Google Chrome, so that I can see pictures in real time, instead of them being that funky color. I am also switching between programs using the Command Tab keys. On a MacBook, it's Command Tab. On a Windows 10 computer, it is Alt Tab to switch between programs. And that just makes it a little bit easier, so you aren't hunting for the switching programs buttons. Again, for display, there's ways, based on client preferences, you can reduce the motion. You can also increase contrast. If you can slightly see the computer, I'll turn this off, and you'll just notice that those white lines just got a little bit more gray, instead of that bright white on a black background. There's ways to differentiate without color. If somebody doesn't have color vision, it's more of a black and white grayscale. There's again ways on the MacBook Pro to increase and decrease the cursor size. I have mine all the way up. Based on client preference, this is helpful to be able to locate the cursor on the screen. And there's different color filters here. You'll see all the colors of the rainbow right here, that you can use. Mine is currently on grayscale, actually. Again, there's lots of different settings you can use in VoiceOver. VoiceOver is the built-in screen reader on a MacBook Pro. This is, there's more advanced settings for VoiceOver, and it's an amazing screen reader that works really well on the MacBook. And there's no need to buy for third-party screen reading software. I think there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Zoom. To zoom, oh yes. Did I? I didn't talk about that. Yeah, I did. I talked about it on there. So in order to zoom on the MacBook Pro, I can touch the Option and Command keys and use the scrolling gesture on my trackpad. I can also use the Option Command keys and use the keys 8 and 9 to zoom in and out. Again, based on client preference, everything is going to be based on what the client likes and what feels right to them. But this has full magnification possibilities, as well as that docked magnification. And I can also demonstrate picture in picture. This wouldn't work for me personally, but this does work for some clients. I'll turn on picture in picture, and you'll notice that there is this box that I can move around the screen, and it will zoom based on where I bring my cursor. So I can zoom in on specific words I want to read or specific pictures that I want to look at. I think that it works better for a full screen magnifier when I have so much more screen to work with. But again, client preference. So that's the basic introduction to accessibility features on the MacBook and ease of access on a Windows 10 computer. Thank you for listening.